5-minute salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and it's my honor today to have Ryan Hendrickson with Tip of the Spear Landmine Removal, Inc. Yes, I'll say it again. Tip of the Spear Landmine Removal. Talk about a dangerous job and a righteous mission. So, Ryan, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, man. This is super excited.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I was on LinkedIn. I was kind of cruising around, seeing who's doing what. And, you get the usual suspects, people creating their own companies, trying to do some corporate coaching, which is great. And then I saw what you were doing, landmine removal. I'm like, I got to meet this guy. So, Ryan, let's talk about, first of all, where are you from, what you do in the military, and talk about Tip of the Spear.
Yeah, so originally I'm from a little town outside of Eugene, Oregon, Lowell, Oregon, and go Ducks for everybody listening.
Go Ducks.
So originally from Lowell, Oregon, joined the military in 97, had jumped around branches a little bit from the Navy and then got out for a little bit. Well, eventually ended up in the Army where I was a 18 Charlie Special Forces engineer. So, yeah, I was attached to a 7th Special Forces group and spent my time in the Army as a Green Beret.
And so, post-military journey, you go from being a Green Beret, and then you end up finding Tip of the Spear. So how did that happen, and what is Tip of the Spear?
Yeah, so that's a hell of a story in itself. So after I retired from active duty, I was a counter threat contractor for a while, counter IED, counter UAS stuff. And I left Afghanistan about a month before the full withdrawal. And after the withdrawal, I just remember being kind of lost and wondering what my purpose was, how I was going to continue to serve. Afghanistan has been my entire career, basically. So now what? And then February 2022 rolls around and I'm glued to my TV, as I'm sure, many listeners were. Yeah. And we're watching the escalation and full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And so I remember this thought and this nagging feeling like there's got to be a way I can go over and help. There has to be. I just don't know what to do. I have this job. They won't let me go over because of security clearance. And I got connected with one of my good buddies in the missionary world, Dave Cunningham, with YWAM. He said they had a campus on Kyiv. He said there was a bunch of young missionaries that were driving around the suburbs of Kyiv, rescuing women and children and getting civilians out as the Russians were, moving into these areas. And I just said, hey, can I go over and help? I said, wow. Sure, man, absolutely. So went over to Ukraine and I was doing the civilian evacuation middle of March of 22 as the Russians started to move east. And about April timeframe, civilians started to come back to their homes and they started hitting landmines and booby traps and becoming victims of explosive hazards. So, from my time in the Army, I have I'm very familiar with IEDs and landmines from Afghanistan. I've also stepped on an IED myself, which almost took my life in 2010. So I'm familiar also with the pain that's caused by, landmines and explosive hazards. And I know that I don't want any child or any innocent, actually anybody, to go through that pain that I went through. So I started helping out, advising teams in the beginning because the Ukrainians were starting to build up these sapper teams, but with very little to no training or equipment. And so I found myself now, trying to help out and train these teams up to the best of my ability. And then all of a sudden, here's an equipment need. So I went back to the States, just put out some social media posts and people donated money and I bought a bunch of detectors, went back over and I was like, there's something here. And the sense of purpose it gave me and the sense of service it gave me was so fulfilling. So I started Tip of the Spear Landmine Removal, a 501c3. And number one was so, people who are opening up their hearts to donate to us can get, some tax relief from it. But also It's a veteran owned and operated organization. And what my main priority is giving veterans that were kind of lost like I was and are lacking purpose and service, and giving them the opportunity to come and volunteer in a high risk humanitarian environment. Because it's not just landmines, it could be agriculture, mechanic, reconstruction, whatever it is, but giving them the opportunity to volunteer and to serve other people. Because I know for myself, that gave me that sense of purpose back when I literally was just kind of going day to day, just floating through, because I didn't have a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
And I got that purpose back. And if it worked for me, I said, you know what, we can do this for other veterans as well. Yeah. And so that's kind of what it all transpired to. Now I'm getting ready to leave on the 24th for my 9th trip over there.
Wow.
And we're going to just keep doing the great work that we're doing, keep supporting the Ukrainian teams that we have over there. And eventually, hopefully one of these days, mine-free Ukraine, and moving on to other countries that are also affected by landmines, because it's not just a Ukraine crisis. This is a global crisis with landmines.
Absolutely. And so for Tip of the Spear, when you say, supporting the Ukrainian teams, you guys are doing training and then providing expertise for the removal itself?
Correct. So we were on the minefields 2022, 2023, but most of our focus now is on training up and force multiplying. So as a Green Beret, one of the things that we were, Green Berets are probably the best in the world at is train, advise, assist, and force multiply. It kind of goes in with the unconventional warfare, but, we're non-combatants, so you got to take that out. But train, advise, assist, force multiply, and equip your teams. So one team of Americans over there doing this, you're not going to even put a drop in the bucket. You can remove 1,000 mines and feel like you did something great, and that's nothing in Ukraine at all. You have to force multiply, and you have to enable the Ukrainians to take back their lands again. And so our Ukrainian teams are made up of Ukrainian wounded warriors that can no longer serve in a combat role.
Wow.
But they're able to continue their service through demining. And so we have, this slogan that we say, it's U.S. veterans helping Ukrainian veterans for a mine-free Ukraine. And I believe in it. I really do.
That is awesome, man. It's funny. I was reading a RAND study, and they were talking about the rebuild of the Ukraine post-war, whenever that may be, right? And then this was part of the issue is, we're talking decades it'll take to kind of clear the area, if you will, to be usable again. And I love the fact that you're training Ukrainians to do what they need to do, because with more folks there, and oh, by the way, they understand the location because that's their home. Hopefully it'll happen quicker than later. But for the audience, because we're talking off camera, how much is landmines a problem across the globe, and what are some of those locations?
I mean, it's a global crisis. It really is. And it's one that not a lot of people know about. In Africa alone, I mean, there's been wars that have been raged in Africa, and civil wars and unrest and insurgencies that all come with the signature of IEDs or landmines. The Middle East, Egypt was one of the most mined countries in the world until Ukraine because of World War II. We still haven't cleaned up Europe from World War II, and most likely a lot from World War I as well. Going down South America, Colombia is, I think they're in the top 5 of the most mined countries in the world.
Wow.
From their civil war. I mean, it's Algeria. It's a global crisis that not a lot of people know about. And there are some, there are NGOs out there that this is their job is to remove landmines, humanitarian mine action. But there's just so many mines in the world. It's impossible. I mean, everybody wants to have that feel good story, but the world will never be mine free, in my opinion. There's just too many.
Well, you're an expert at it. So Ryan, obviously, anybody that's out there watching this, if they feel compelled, either A, to volunteer, or B, to give some of their time, treasure, and talent, how do they find Tip of the Spear landmine removal?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's landmineremoval.org, and that has all my social media on there where you guys, where people can find me on there. It has our contact info and everything like that. But yeah, it's landmineremoval.org.
Okay.
And yeah, definitely, people reach out if they want. Right now, as far as volunteering goes, it depends on funds. And, we just had a big shakeup this week. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens, once the dust settles. But yes.
I totally understand. Unfortunately, that problem won't go away regardless of politics. So we'll definitely see where it goes. And no doubt you're saving, Ukrainians' lives as a result of going out there and removing these devices. So I applaud you for that. So landmineremoval.org, we'll make sure that's in our show notes so folks can take a look. And no doubt, people should be giving to these type of organizations year-round. But hey, it is the Christmas season, so I will endorse my friends. I highly encourage them to check you out and leave a donation to help this righteous mission. So, hey, Ryan, thanks for what you did for the nation and your service in the Navy and the Army. And man, I applaud you for what you're doing in your post-military career. This is excellent, and I look forward to staying in touch, and I'd definitely love to have you back on post the holidays to give us an update where you're at and where you guys are going. So have a great Veterans Day.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on, letting me spread my message and the word about what we're doing. One last thing for the viewers out here is landmines don't care about politics. They don't care about race, religion, anything like that. Landmines kill indiscriminately. So, when people are looking at the geopolitical aspects of it or the elections or whatnot, just remember landmines don't care.
Man, I don't even know how to end on that. That's absolutely correct. And you're seeing it, with your own eyes. And as I've seen it, specifically in Afghanistan with the landmines left behind by the Russians in that conflict. So thanks again for your service. I look forward to staying in contact. Hey, folks, if you ain't motivated after that, you must be dead. So, hey, take a look at landmineremoval.org. If you got a little bit of money that you can give to a righteous mission, I encourage you to do so and continue to support this organization and what they're doing to literally save lives and limbs of the innocent, if you will. Hey, if you like what you heard, please share us, connect with us on LinkedIn, other social media. We'll see you at our next segment and live with gratitude.